Hello again, my name is Des Asante and welcome to another mixlessons.com video quick tip. Today I want to cover the parametric equalizer and what its controls are and what do they do. I've got another track up on the screen again here. This is the new Confusion Purple Sweat that I've used a number of times in a number of these video quick tips, and we're going to use this as another our guinea pig here to describe the parametric equalizers. So let's have a quick listen here. I'm going to solo the bass guitar for this example. Okay, I'm going to use the standard VST EQ built into Cubase. The concepts are universal. They will work with whatever EQ you've got. They all work the same way. Basically, let me pause that for a sec. What we've got in a parametric EQ, I'm just going to activate one of the bands here, is we've got three main controls to deal with. Okay. First of all, just for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to switch this to parametric 1, and that's something that I'm not going to bother explaining why, but it's just going to make things a little more standard. The first thing we have on our parametric EQ is the gain stage. What we want to do we want to boost a frequency or do we want to cut a frequency, and by how much? And that's done here simply by entering in a positive or a negative value. Just below that, we have the frequency itself. In this particular case, it's set at 800 hertz. So this gives us an opportunity to either boost or cut the 800 hertz frequency. That can be altered. I can simply punch in a number here. If I want to do, say 1K, I can do 1000 hertz, which is the same thing as 1 kilohertz, okay? And then I can boost or cut from there. The other thing we have down below is what's referred to as the Q, or the bandwidth. The letter Q comes from quality, as it's referred to, and this determines how wide around the chosen frequency do we want to affect. So let me give you an example. Let's say, for example, I want to boost, say, 1200 hertz. I'll just punch in 1200 hertz there, and I want to boost it by 3 dB. Okay, so I've selected 1200 hertz. I go up here and I say 3, and you can see on the graph what's happened here is I've boosted right at 1200 hertz by 3 decibels. Okay, now what the Q does, the Q value, it influences the shape of this curve. So I'm boosting at 1200 hertz, but I'm also boosting a little bit above 1200, and I'm also boosting a little bit below 1200. So the Q is responsible for how much above and below the chosen frequency we're actually going to affect. So you'll see what happens is when I narrow the Q, increasing the numeric value is actually narrowing the bandwidth, okay? Then you see graphically what's displayed on the image here. I'm now still boosting 1200 hertz by 3 dB, but I'm not boosting as much in and around that frequency. I'm leaving those frequencies untouched and narrowing my bandwidth, okay? I can, of course, do the exact opposite and decrease the numeric value of the Q, which in effect widens the bandwidth of affected frequencies. So let's have a listen and see what that's doing. I'm going to boost by a little more so it's more obvious. I'm going to boost by, say, I don't know, 8 dB, so you can really hear what's going on. Okay, and I'm just going to pull that. Actually, let's just hit play and see what we got here. Okay, let me bring that Q in. Okay. Now I can sweep, and we had a quick tip on subtractive equalization. I can sweep this frequency and find the area in the sound that I don't like. This is the method I recommend: is find what you don't like and cut it. So say let's assume that that's offensive to my ear. So what I'm going to simply do is just change this to a negative value. Let's say -6, and then what I might do is play around with the Q until I get, there we go. Maybe widen that up a little bit. If I go too wide, I'm cutting away a little bit too much meat from the track. And this is where you're going to have to use your ears and trust your decision-making process based on what you think sounds good. There's no right or wrong answer, and every situation is a little bit different. But that is the basics of how a parametric EQ works. You've got what frequency are you going to affect? You've got how wide a bandwidth in and around that chosen frequency you want to impact, and then what do you want to do with it? Do you want to boost it or do you want to cut it, and by how much? So I hope you find that helpful. If you're new to mixing and to parametric EQs, hopefully that takes away some of the mystery, and we'll see you on the next quick tip. For more free video mixing quick tips, visit www.mixlessons.com.